My name is Henry Ford. You probably know me as the man who made the automobile affordable, the creator of the Model T, or the pioneer of the modern assembly line. They say I put America on wheels, and maybe there's some truth to that. Tonight, I will tell you the story of my life. Let me start with something surprising. I didn't invent the car. Cars already existed, but they were expensive, clunky machines, mostly toys for the wealthy. What I did was make cars practical for farmers, factory workers, families like yours. I turned a luxury into a necessity. Now let me ask you something. If you were me, experiencing what I've experienced with the tools and time I had, would you do better? Would you bring something even greater to humanity? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you could send a message to me in the past, what would you write? Leave a comment below. Now, listen to this interesting story about my life journey. I begin as a farm boy. The year is 1863, and I'm born on a farm in Greenfield Township, Michigan, just a stretch of land and silence west of Detroit. Life is simple but hard. We work from sunup to sundown. My father, William Ford, is Irish by blood, stubborn and practical. My mother, Mary, is gentle, patient, with eyes that hold your worries for you. We're Methodists, with strong values, strong hands, and not much else. I'm not a strong farm boy, truth be told. I don't care much for plowing or milking. My heart beats faster for machines. I take apart watches just to see what makes them tick. I build water wheels out of scrap. And when a portable steam engine visits the neighborhood, pulling a threshing machine, I follow it like a shadow, asking questions, begging to touch its bolts. That's when something changes inside me. I realize I love the mechanical, the logical, things that run because they were designed to, not because the weather cooperated. But then comes a turning point I don't see coming. I'm 13. A boy just beginning to understand the world. And then, my mother dies. When I was 12. There are moments in life that crack something open inside you. That was one of mine. She was the warmth of our home, the calm voice in a storm, the one who believed in my odd little machines when my father didn't. Her absence made the world colder, the meals quieter. And me? I felt like a gear came loose inside. Nothing fit quite the same again. If you were me, losing your mother at that age, would you have held it together better or broken faster? I bury myself in work, in tinkering, in thought. My hands always need to be building, adjusting, repairing. Maybe because fixing things is the only way I know how to feel in control. By the time I'm 17, I've made a decision. I'm leaving the farm. I walk away from the fields and livestock. I head to Detroit, still just a boy, really. I take a job as a machinist's apprentice. 12-hour days, dirty hands, low pay. But I don't mind. I'm learning. Every clink of a wrench, every hiss of steam. It's like school, only better. My father doesn't understand. He calls it foolish. He offers me 80 acres of farmland if I stay. I refuse. I'd rather work with engines than soil, I say. And I mean it. If you were in my boots, would you have taken the land, stayed loyal to your roots, or chased something uncertain, noisy, and new? Looking back now, I know it was the right choice, because that shop in Detroit, it changed everything. Detroit, in those days, is like a furnace of invention. Sparks fly from metal, and men with sooty hands and oil-stained coats walk with pride in their steps. Everyone's trying to build something faster, stronger, newer. And in that chaos, I find clarity, I find a purpose. It's 1888, and I marry Clara Bryant. She's a farmer's daughter, just like me. And there's something in her eyes that tells me she understands my restless spirit. Where others see me as strange, she sees potential. We marry under a soft Michigan sky, and she becomes the constant rhythm in my life. Through every storm, every failure, every sleepless night spent with metal and wrenches, she's there. Quiet, strong, believing. We live in a little house, and I work for the Edison Illuminating Company. Yes, that Edison, the man whose name flickered like a guiding light in my youth. I'm just a lowly engineer at first, working night shifts, fixing broken generators, checking wiring. It's unglamorous. But every time I fix something, I get a thrill. And when I'm not working, I'm building, always building. In a tiny workshop behind our house, I tinker for hours. And when I say hours, I mean I often forget to eat, forget to sleep. I sketch engines, forge metal, test fuel mixtures. I dream of building a vehicle that doesn't need horses, one that can go where it wants, when it wants. And slowly, piece by piece, my first gasoline engine takes shape. Now, it's not much to look at. 2 wheels in the front, 2 big bicycle tires in the back. It's loud, unpredictable, and honestly, a little terrifying. But when I start it, and the wheels begin to turn under their own power, I feel something shift inside me. It's the first taste of what freedom could be. Motion not dictated by rails, not dependent on livestock. Just a machine and a man. I call it the quadricycle. I still remember that first test run. It's the summer of 1896, and I push the quadricycle out of the shed. The doorway's too narrow. Can you believe that? I have to take an axe and break part of the wall down just to get it outside. Clara stands on the porch, her hands clasped, watching. A few curious neighbors gather, and then, with a shaky breath, I pull the lever. It rattles, it groans, it coughs and sputters like an old man catching his breath after a cold winter night. And then, it moves. The quadricycle rolls forward under its own power. I'm steering it through the streets of Detroit, dodging carriages and startled pedestrians, the wind rushing past me. I feel like I'm flying. If you were there, watching me roar past on that strange little contraption, what would you have thought? A madman? A dreamer? Or maybe just someone crazy enough to try? Leave a comment below. What would you have told me at that moment? That little machine changes everything. It's not just proof that the automobile can work. It's proof that I can make it work. And word spreads. People talk. Some laugh. Some are intrigued. Just a few, start to believe. But with invention comes sacrifice. My father still doesn't understand. He thinks I've wasted my life on nonsense. And truth be told, Clara and I are struggling financially. There are nights when dinner is just bread and beans, and I wonder if I've done right by her. I ask her once, "Do you wish I'd just stayed on the farm?" She just smiles and says, "No one else could have built that thing in the shed." It's funny how much those quiet words can mean when you're full of doubt. Around this time, I'm invited to a banquet where Edison himself is in attendance. I get introduced as a young man working on gasoline-powered engines. Edison looks me dead in the eye and says, "Keep at it. You're on to something." And just like that, everything changes. His words light a fire in me that still burns today. But life continues in rhythms beyond invention. My father passes away, a hard, proud man who never quite saw what I was building. I mourn him, even though we were never close. And then, in 1893, Clara and I welcome our only son, Edson. He's small, delicate, and perfect. I hold him in my arms and feel the weight of the future pressing gently on my chest. Would you believe me if I told you that the birth of Edson makes me work harder? That I see in his tiny hands the world I want to build? Not just for me, but for everyone. A world of motion, of possibility, where no one is stuck behind a plow unless they choose to be. If you were me, young family, empty wallet, wild dreams, what would you have done? Would you have doubled down on a risky idea, or taken the safe path for your child's sake? Let me know down in the comments. With Edson growing and Clara standing beside me like a lighthouse in fog, I know it's time to take a leap. The quadricycle was just the beginning. I need something more. A company, a structure, a team. Something solid to carry this dream forward. So in 1899, I partner with investors and form the Detroit Automobile Company. It sounds grand, doesn't it? But it flops. The cars we make are too expensive, too fancy, too delicate. They break often and cost a fortune to repair. I keep pushing for something simple and affordable, for the everyday man, not just the rich. But the investors want luxury, want returns fast, want glitz over guts. Eventually, we part ways, and I'm left again with nothing but my tools and my stubborn hope. Failure like that, it's heavy. You begin to doubt everything, but I remind myself that even the strongest tree has to shed its leaves before it can grow again. And anyway, Clara still believes in me. That's enough. In 1901, I get another shot. I design a new racing car, lightweight, fast, no frills. I call it Sweepstakes. I enter a race against one of the best drivers in the country, Alexander Winton. And would you believe it? I win. Not by a little, but by a lot. People start whispering my name again, not as a failure, as a fighter. And that's when a man named Malcolmson enters my life. He's a coal dealer, smart, wealthy, willing to take a risk. We join forces, and in 1903, I form a new company, the Ford Motor Company. This time, I insist on control over the engineering. No more compromises. Our first car, the Model A, is modest, reliable, affordable. We sell just a few, but the response is encouraging. Still, it's not enough. I can feel the next big idea building in my bones, something that will change everything. That something arrives in 1908. The Model T. It's light, sturdy, runs well on rough roads, and easy to maintain. Most important of all, it's priced low enough that middle-class families can afford it. This isn't a car for the elite. It's a car for farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, for people like my father, and they love it. We sell thousands, then tens of thousands. But I want more. Not for profit, but for reach. I want every working man in America to own a car, to escape the isolation of rural life, to go where they want, when they want. That's freedom. That's the future. But demand explodes so fast we can't keep up. Our old assembly methods can't match the pace. So I do something radical. I study meatpacking plants, of all things. I watch how animals are butchered on conveyor lines. Then I think, what if we built cars the same way, but in reverse? Instead of disassembling, we assemble. Each worker handles one task. The car moves to them, not the other way around. In 1913, we introduced the moving assembly line at our Highland Park plant. Production time drops from over 12 hours to just 90 minutes. That's right, 90 minutes. And just like that, we change manufacturing forever. Would you have seen inspiration in a slaughterhouse? Or laughed it off? It's strange the places ideas come from. Leave me a comment. What's the most unusual source of inspiration you've ever found? But this kind of innovation doesn't come without consequence. The speed is brutal. Repetition is numbing. Workers tire quickly. Some quit. Some break. And I realize something. I can't ask men to build the future if they're crushed by it. So in 1914, I introduced the $5 day. I double the wages of my workers and shorten their shifts. People think I've lost my mind. But you know what happens? Workers stay. They focus. They care. And more than that, they can now afford the very cars they build. The idea that a worker can be a consumer of their own product? It's revolutionary. The middle class swells and the economy blooms. Of course, not everyone is happy. Other industrialists accuse me of spoiling labor. But I'm not trying to buy loyalty. I'm trying to build dignity. My machines run on gasoline, but my business runs on people. Around this time, I'm also spending more moments with Edison. He's a quiet boy, kind and thoughtful. He doesn't have my restlessness, but he has a sharp eye and a patient heart. I start bringing him to meetings, letting him watch how I work. He learns fast. And I begin to dream, not just of building cars, but of building something to pass down. Yet even as the Model T takes over America, I begin to notice a strange thing. The very machine that brought people together is also making them forget how to walk, how to slow down, how to enjoy the world around them. I wonder, am I setting people free, or just making the cage bigger? Sometimes I sit outside the factory gates, watching hundreds of Model Ts roll out, and I think about my mother. She died long before any of this came to life. She would have laughed at how much noise we make now. Do you ever think about how your parents would see your choices? Whether they'd be proud or puzzled? Let me know in the comments. I'm standing in a thunderstorm of progress, and the lightning bolts are coming fast. The Model T is selling like nothing the world has ever seen. We're producing hundreds of thousands of them every year now, and that number only keeps rising. I've built a machine that makes machines, and I've given birth to an industry that feeds itself. But success is a tricky thing. It doesn't whisper softly like failure. It shouts. And often, it drowns out other voices, especially the ones you need to hear the most. By 1918, Half the cars in America are Model Ts. Half. But the world is also changing in bigger ways. World War I is dragging on, and I, naively perhaps, imagine myself as a peacemaker. I fund a peace ship to sail across the Atlantic, hoping to bring the war's leaders together and negotiate an end. Some call me brave, others say I'm foolish, and maybe both are true. The mission fails, and I return home exhausted, disappointed. Would you have tried it? Boarded a boat and crossed an ocean, chasing peace with nothing but hope? Leave me a comment. What's the boldest thing you've ever done just because you believed it was right? After the war, the world is hungry for something new. And yet, I cling stubbornly to the Model T. I love it. It's like a child to me, simple, reliable, American. I refuse to change it, even as the competition begins to evolve. Other car companies are offering different colors, sleeker bodies, better features. But me? I still say, you can have any color you want, as long as it's black. And slowly, the world begins to drift away. Edsel sees it. My son is growing into a fine man, and he has ideas of his own. Design improvements, new models, marketing strategies. But I shut him down again and again. I can't help it. My identity is wrapped up in this car, this factory, this method. I fear that changing it means changing myself. And that's the thing about legacy. It can be a comfort or a cage. But even the strongest cages wear down. In the 1920s, my grip begins to loosen. The numbers don't lie. Sales drop. Public excitement fades. People want something different, and I'm the only one who doesn't see it coming. Or maybe I do. I just don't want to admit it. Eventually, I have no choice. In 1927, I do something that feels like losing a limb. I shut down production of the Model T. We retool the entire company. And when we reopen, we unveil the Model A, a car Edsel has shaped with care, style, and a bit of modern flair. It's a success, not a wildfire like the T, but solid. Still, a quiet voice inside me mourns the end of an era. I think often of my father during this time. He died back in 1905, never seeing how far I'd take this dream. I wonder if he would have smiled at the rows of workers, the hum of the assembly line, the steel giant we've become. Greenfield Village, the farm where I was born, still stands. I've preserved it, rebuilt it even, inside a historical village I created, because I never want people to forget where we came from. The world may drive forward at full speed, but there's something sacred about the past, about the smell of soil, the feel of wood floors, the silence of a field before dawn. Would you preserve your childhood home if you could? If you had the means, would you keep your memories alive in bricks and timber? Let me know in the comments. By now, Edsel has taken more responsibility. I've passed the presidency of the company to him, but, truth be told, I still pull the strings, not always in helpful ways. I worry about losing control, about the company becoming something I no longer recognize. But Edsel is patient, gentle, where I am firm, creative, where I am rigid. He listens when others speak. I don't tell him enough, but I admire that. During these years, we expand globally. We build factories in Europe, plants in South America. The Ford name reaches far beyond dirt roads of Michigan. We're not just an American car company. We're a world machine now. And yet, trouble brews. In 1932, the Great Depression hits us like a sledgehammer. Sales fall, people lose jobs, factories grow silent. I slash prices, lay off workers, do whatever I can to keep us alive. But it's not enough. Strikes erupt. There's a sense that I'm out of touch, too controlling, too stubborn. And perhaps they're right. There's one moment I won't forget. The Hunger March of 1932. Workers approach our River Rouge plant to protest. Things get out of hand. Police and security clash with the marchers. Tear gas, gunfire. 4 people die. I'm haunted by it. I built this company to give people dignity, and now their cries echo in my factories. What happened? If you were me, what would you do? Fight to stay in control, or let go and trust the next generation? Leave a comment. I wonder how you would have handled it. Time doesn't pause. Clara stands by me as she always has, strong, steady, and Edsel carries the weight of leadership with grace, even as I sometimes make it harder for him. He deserves more credit than I give. Sometimes, it takes losing something to realize its worth. But that part of the story, it's coming soon. The 1940s arrive with war clouds gathering once again. This time, it's not just Europe. The whole world is at the edge, trembling. I'm already in my late 70s. My hands move slower. My mind sometimes takes longer to catch up. But my instincts for mechanics, for movement and motion, are still sharp as ever. And when the bombs fall on Pearl Harbor, I know we can't sit on the sidelines. None of us can. So we shift. The Ford Motor Company becomes a war machine. We build tanks, trucks, bombers, massive, complex airplanes that roll off assembly lines the way the Model T once did. Our Willow Run plant becomes legendary. They say we can build a B-24 Liberator every 63 minutes. Can you imagine that? An entire bomber, wings, engines, everything, born in an hour. The world moves fast, especially in war. But behind the thunder of engines, there's a quiet ache growing in my chest. My son, Edsel, is fading. He's not a boy anymore. Not the fresh-faced young man I used to scold over design tweaks. He's the president of a global company, and he's worn down by the pressures, by the constant tug-of-war with me, with expectations, with the world. Edsel gets sick. Stomach cancer, they say. At first, I think he'll bounce back. He always does. But this time, he doesn't. In 1943, I bury my only son. I still remember the way the world felt that day. The factories kept running. The war kept raging. But inside me, something stopped, like an engine that had run too hot for too long. If you were me, an aging man who's lost the only one he was preparing to take over, what would you do? Keep holding the wheel tighter? Or finally let go? Leave a comment below. I wonder what your heart would tell you. In my grief, I do what I know. I step back in. At the age of 79, I reclaim the presidency of Ford Motor Company. But I'm not the man I was. I forget things. I repeat myself. The board notices. The press whispers. And finally, in 1945, I stepped down for good. It's not easy to release the wheel of something you've built with your bare hands. But I've learned, sometimes too late, that a true legacy isn't just what you build. It's who you trust to carry it forward. We hand the company to my grandson, Henry Ford II. Bright, determined, young, like I once was. The boy has steel in his bones and a mind sharp as a new blade. He'll face his own battles, but I believe in him. I visit the factories less often now. I spend more time walking through Greenfield Village, where I've preserved slices of American history. Old schoolhouses, blacksmith shops, even the Wright brothers' bicycle shop. There's even a replica of Edison's Menlo Park lab, glowing with soft amber lights. I built it to honor my old friend, Thomas Edison. He died in 1931. I was by his side when he took his final breath. It's funny. The man who lit the world with electricity, and yet, in the end, it was the hush of candlelight that surrounded him. Sometimes I think about the places we've built and what they've become. The original Ford Piquette plant in Detroit, where the first Model T was born. That old brick building is now a museum. Tourists walk through it every day, taking photos, touching the same wood floors I once paced in worry and excitement. Dear listener, have you ever visited a place from the past that still feels alive with memory? Maybe it's your grandmother's kitchen or your childhood school. What did it smell like? What sounds filled the air? If you could walk through my old workshop, would you see the grease, the sparks, the sketches on the walls? Or would you see a young man chasing something impossible? My wife, Clara, is still beside me. We've weathered storms that would sink most ships. And even now, when my body is tired and the world feels like it's rushing ahead without me, she's the quiet harbor I return to. In these final years, I don't tinker as much. I reflect. I remember. I think of the boys who walked into our factories with nothing but hunger in their eyes and walked out with paychecks and pride. I think of the families who took Sunday drives in Model Ts, the children pressing their noses to the windows, marveling at trees that rushed by faster than a horse ever could. I think of Edsel, and how much I wish I'd told him more often that he was doing just fine. And I think of you. Yes, you. The one listening to this late at night, maybe lying in bed with one headphone in, wondering if you've done enough with your life. Let me tell you something. If you're still trying, still learning, still dreaming, then yes, you're doing just fine. And now, as the engine of my story begins to idle, I feel the world softening, slowing. But it's not the end yet. There's still one more stretch of road to travel. The final stretch of my journey begins quietly. My world has grown smaller. Just a few rooms, a garden path, the view from a chair by the window. But my thoughts, they travel far. Farther than the first Model T ever did. It's 1946, I'm 83 now. The world outside has moved into a new age. Airplanes crisscross the skies. Television flickers to life in living rooms. And machines I never imagined hum quietly in homes, doing the work of dozens of hands. America is booming. The war is over. soldiers return home to their families, and the babies, they say, are arriving faster than ever. Sometimes I smile, knowing that roads I helped pave, literally and figuratively, are now filled with children in the back seats of Fords. I don't drive anymore, but I often ride in silence, watching the world rush by from behind the glass. The farms of my boyhood, back in Dearborn, where I was born in 1863, they've changed too. Once it was all wheat fields and dirt roads. Now, it's factories, housing developments, and schools. They even built an airport near here. Planes roar above my childhood fields. Isn't that something? Still, some parts remain the same. The Rouge River still winds its way past the plants, a ribbon of memory. And I still rise with the sun. Old habits don't die easily, even if the body begs for more rest. Clara, dear Clara, remains my anchor. She's aged more gracefully than I have. We sit together, sometimes in silence, sometimes holding hands, saying nothing at all. After all these years, words aren't always necessary. Just being close, that's enough. Have you ever loved someone for so long that their presence becomes part of your breath? Not just romance, but shared life, shared seasons, shared silence. If you've felt that, then you know. By this point in my life, many of the people I built with, dreamed with, are gone. Thomas Edison, the man who once electrified the world and lit my imagination, he's just a memory now. I still remember his laugh, sharp and contagious, and how he once told me, "There's a way to do it better. Find it." That phrase stuck with me more than any school lesson ever could. I did try, Tom. I did. My siblings, most are gone. William, my younger brother, passed away. I used to think we had all the time in the world. And my parents, dear William and Mary Ford, long buried on a quiet hill not far from where I grew up. If you were me, with all those ghosts quietly sitting beside you in the evenings, would you feel sad? Or grateful that you knew them at all? Sometimes I talk to them. I tell them what we've built. I imagine my father, once skeptical of my tinkering, nodding proudly. Maybe now he understands. My health is no longer strong. The doctors say my heart's tired. I suppose they're right. It's been beating for nearly 9 decades after all. That's a long time to carry a world of dreams, regrets, victories, and losses. But I've done what I came to do. I didn't just build a car. I helped build a way of life. I made it possible for the common man to move, to go places once reserved for the wealthy, and not just physically. Freedom of movement brought freedom of thought, of ambition. Families could dream bigger. Farmers could get to town. Young couples could drive to the lake and fall in love under the stars. Even now, the name Ford sits on the front of millions of vehicles around the globe. My grandson, Henry Ford II, has taken the reins, and I watch him with quiet pride. He's faced great challenges, including steering the company after the war, but he's braver than I ever gave him credit for in his youth. Legacy. That's what we all wonder about in the end, isn't it? What will I leave behind? I leave behind more than engines and steel. I leave behind a belief that one idea, pursued relentlessly, can change the world. that the son of a farmer with no money and no college degree can touch history. That if you care about people, not just profit, you'll build something that lasts longer than you. If you could send a message to me in the past, what would you write? Would you warn me? Encourage me? Tell me to be kinder to Edsel? Go ahead. Leave your message in the comments. I'd like to believe I'd read it, if I could. In the spring of 1947, I begin to fade. Quietly. No grand exit. Just a slow dimming. And then, on April 7th, with the rain tapping softly on the windows and Clara by my side, I take my final breath. A life has many chapters, and this one, it closes gently. But the story doesn't end with me. The years pass, and yet, the echoes of my life remain. The Ford name endures, through highways, through history, through every hum of an engine that carries someone home. My descendants carry forward the vision. Henry Ford II, the boy I watched grow, is now a man of steel and strategy. Under his leadership, Ford becomes a global powerhouse. In the decades that follow, innovations continue. The Mustang, the F-150, hybrids, and electric dreams I never lived to see. But it's not just the cars. It's the people, the workers, the families, the mechanics, the dreamers who saw a symbol in that blue oval. Greenfield Village, the place I built to preserve the spirit of invention, is still there. Children walk through it today, eyes wide, touching the wood and brick of a bygone age. Maybe one of them will be the next great inventor. Maybe one of them is you. And my old home in Dearborn, still standing. You could visit it. Run your fingers along the same windowsill I stared out of as a boy, wondering if there was more beyond the cornfields. There was. And you'll find it too, if you keep moving forward. So as you drift now into sleep, let your thoughts roll gently, like wheels on a moonlit road. Think of dreams not yet built. Think of the soft ticking of a clock in a quiet room. Let my story remind you, no dream is too small, and no beginning too humble. Close your eyes. Rest easy. Tomorrow is always another mile down the road. Sweet dreams.